Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Homer, the president of ATP Canada Software and Services. I've, over the past while, spent a substantial amount of time, our company, creating and developing a software package designed for the quantitative side of the business, Rosetta Studio, which automates the creation of PowerPoint tables, resulting in substantial time savings and greater accuracy. And now what I want to introduce today to you is a new tool called LabIQ, which does similar thing, has similar effect on qualitative work. It's designed to cut the amount of time that you're spending in some of the mundane tasks in qualitative work. And it'll be presented by Illitch Real. I first met Illitch at a Quirks presentation in New York in 2023. He gave a fantastic talk on AI in marketing research, the perceptions of what AI's role should be, the dangers of relying too much on LLMs. And he introduced sort of a concept of augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence, where you're using AI to help you in your task. It's not replacing what you're doing. So I'm going to hand it over to Illitch, and he's going to present to you about LabIQ.
Well, thanks a lot, Dave, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar. So just before we kick off and before we go into the demo part of the tool, we just wanted to go and look at some of the familiar points that you might have faced when working in qualitative research. So, you know, there's all kind of different challenges. We are looking at huge kind of qualitative data in different shape and volumes. We're looking at a lot of different touch points, transactional type of operations in the process, which are very often manual and time consuming. And we are looking, for example, at transcriptions or translation, but also validation of discussion guides, the actual organization of fieldwork. And all of this just take like a huge amount of time in the research cycle. And there's also like some limitations around collaboration and scalability, being able to run multiple sessions in different locations with different kind of audiences, etc. And because of the kind of complex and multiform nature of qualitative research, you end up also having challenges to be able to extract those valuable, actionable insights. And at the risk of oversimplifying it, but by experience, you could almost say that in a qualitative project, like 80% of it is around preparation and fieldwork, and if you're lucky, you're left with 20% of your mental space budget for being really focused on the insight part and regenerating value out of the process. And what we really wanted to achieve with this tool is essentially to be able to turn this around and spend much less time on all the manual touch points and the preparation part associated with qualitative research, and really be able to focus on the insight part of the process and get all the value and all the nuggets that we can with qualitative research. So, some of the key benefits that we'll see are looking at a much faster data integration. We have some automated theme being generated by the tool, some sentiment analysis, which is, a lot of qualitative work is a bit an art and a science. Like you want to read all those little cues around emotion, perception, etc. But it is also good to be able to have something that can really quantify the sentiments happening in the background. And you'll see now in the demo, we also have multilingual support and just like a clean interface to work from. So without further ado, I'm going to actually show the tool itself. So this is what you will see when working with LabIQ. So we have this very clean and almost minimalist type of interface, where essentially you've got like this mental health demo study that we prepared, where we will be looking at different data sets, like reports, conversations on the topic of mental health. And the way every project is organized is across with 4 boxes. So the first one is like an overview of like some material for you to be able to use the tool properly, some training material if you want, FAQ, etc. The second box is library, where we will see in a minute. We've got all the different data sets integrated into the tool. We've got the analysis part, which is self-explanatory. But the beginning of the journey is settings, which is where you begin setting up your project. And this is what we're going to do quickly here. So at the beginning, you can just come in and type in the name of your project, define your project objectives, and it doesn't have to be very complex. You just need to indicate, in a few sentences what the project is about, just to give a bit of context to the tool. And then what we wanted to be able to integrate into the tool is the option to add some what we call meta tags, which are, you can think of it as labels that we can tag on the different data set that we are importing into the tool. So, sometimes in a conversation, it's not necessarily obvious what are the demographic of the people taking part, like in an in-depth interview, for example. Like if you do some healthcare work, for example, you may know that you are speaking to a doctor, but maybe a doctor is not just a doctor; it's like a key opinion leader. But this is not obvious in the conversation, so you could go and add all those little tags on the side, like the location, the year, and all those fields are can be adjusted based on the project that you have. And this essentially does 2 things. One, it gives a bit more information to the tool, like any data point which is not obvious in the conversation can then be passed on to the tool to give it a bit more knowledge. And the second thing that it allows to do is to be able to segment data based on those tags and on any kind of combination of those tags, which we'll see in the analysis part. And finally, we can define the different themes which are going to be relevant for the context of your project. And here we essentially have like 2 main ways of doing this. You can do it based on your internal or client brief, on what is important for the context of your project, and really have like a guided type of approach for your theme segmentation. But you can also have like a much more kind of organic way of doing it, starting with just a few basic themes, and then go into the tool, and I will show you how to do this in a bit, where you can actually ask for advice to the tool as to what themes are relevant for your data set. So once you've done all this, we can actually go and look at the data library. And here, for this project, we've set up different things. So we've got some in-depth interviews based on some audio that we've done on mental health with a different type of participant. We've got like a Q&A that we took from like an online conversation, but we also I did some podcasts which which would be very similar to what you would have in the context of an in-depth interview, as in a moderator and one person answering. And then we also went in and integrating different type of reports, which I will show in a bit. But once you upload a piece of data into the tool, and the way to upload is very simple. You can just add new source and drag and drop your content. Name your piece of data, and then use the tag that we created earlier in the setting part. So that's all it takes. And once you upload, say like I don't know, like a 2-hour-long conversation, like we have in this case, the tool will be able to process the conversation in anything between 5 to 7 minutes. We'll give you a transcript, which is time-stamped, as you would normally get for a qualitative type of work. And you've got some neat little features. So, for example, you can edit if the tool didn't transcribe something properly. Though the quality of the transcript is actually really high, and we are quite proud of it, because difference between like a okay transcription and a really good transcription means is really huge difference in the context of qualitative research, especially if you go into some more niche type of topics, like I mentioned healthcare earlier, but we also have some like B2B type of conversation. We use the tool a lot in the legal sector, for example, with a lot of acronyms and fairly complicated terms, and the tool does a remarkable job at transcribing everything. And then we've got some little add-ons. So, for example, on the side, the tool has picked up some speaker profiles, so giving you a bit of information about the different participants in the conversation, which can really be useful if you want at a glance to be able to see who is who really in the conversation. And then like if you want to go and navigate, so for example, you're looking at the transcripts, and so here in the UK, people just love sarcasm, for example. And sometimes when you just look at the transcript, it's not necessarily obvious to know when someone really means something, or if there's a bit of sarcasm behind it. And or maybe you just want to look at the body language of someone in the context of the conversation, or if you've shared any stimuli during the focus group, for example, and you want to see how people respond to it, you can just go and navigate, and if you click anywhere on the transcript, it will bring you to the video that you can just go and play. One neat thing as well is we've got like a panel discussion here, which is in Japan, and you will see here that the speaker profile is actually much more useful in this case, because we have like 8 or 10 participants, and the layout is the same. So you will have the transcript in the original language, which you can also click, and then underneath you've got the translation appearing every time. And same thing for the translation. When we do a demo, we often focus on what the tool can do, but what's really important is how well it can do it. The quality of the translation is also really high, and make it useful in the context of well, fit for purpose in the context of research, really. One thing which the tool can do is you can bring in any kind of legacy report that you've done on a particular topic, or any kind of desk research that you've done based on publicly available reports or data, and also bring it to the tool and create like a knowledge base for your tool, so that you can add different layers of data. You can add your ideas, you can add your focus group, you can add any kind of desk research that you've done on the topic, or any previous report that you've done on the same topic, and really start creating layers and different sources of truth, if you want, in your data, and integrate all this when you come to the analysis part of the tool. So just going to jump quickly to the analysis part of the tool. And you will be greeted with this screen, and on the first thing that you will see is like an executive summary of the whole data set. And you have a couple of things happening here. So first, you got like a few paragraphs, like giving you a sense of the whole data set, but then the tool is also generating some key highlights which are related, but also somewhat distinct to the executive summary. So you can go and click on any of those, and then you will get like a definition or explanation, and then some quotes related to the particular highlights, so that you can go back to the source document and investigate it further and validate the highlight this way. We also have like a distribution of themes, which essentially give you like a share of voice of the different themes across the data set that we've compiled for the project. While this is purely descriptive, we start giving you some insight. So, for example, this is around mental health, and we can see that a lot of it is around coping mechanism or emotional well-being, but only 1% of the conversation is around mental health education, and 4% around stigma and discrimination. So, you know, I found it interesting that on this topic, only 1% of the conversation is around the education, and the rest is much more around the treatment of it and the support system and therapeutic type of intervention. So maybe we have the proportion wrong on how this is being approached. Very similar to the executive summary. You remember at the start of the project, we set up with different themes where essentially we told the tool to pay attention to those particular topics. And what the tool is then doing is re-segmenting the data based on those themes. And you will have like a similar type of structure with kind of a summary on top and some highlights specific to this particular theme. Here we can see we have like a sentiment analysis, which is being done at the sentence level across the whole data set, where every sentence is being measured for its positive, neutral, and negative value. So nothing binary, is really granular and precise. And you can go through, and one thing which is really important is you've got all of this is dynamic in the sense that you can always go back and say, hey, for example, in the themes that we've picked up, we are not mentioning, for example, the quality of sleep or lifestyle on mental health. And you can say, you know, maybe we're missing something. You know, as you familiarize yourself with the data, maybe you realize that you've got some gaps in your analysis. So you can always come back to the setting part of the project, go to the theme, and then add a new theme for like impact of lifestyle on mental health, for example. You would save the change, and then in the background, the whole data set will be resegmented based on this new theme, which really can be quite transformative when you go and do your analysis. You're allowed to be curious, you're allowed to change your mind, you're allowed to explore much more than what you would normally do. One thing which goes back to how we set up those tags at the start of the project is you can now cross the data based on the different tags that we created at the start of the project. So, for example, we can say, oh, we just want to look at you know, the IDIs that we've done in this project, and you know, you could say, and they all have to be in the US, and they all have to be for 2024, for example. And you can save those filters. And then the tool will go and regenerate the findings based on the selection that we've applied, and the findings will be dynamic every time based on the selection that you do. You will have like different highlights and different summary based on the selections. Again, even the tags can be changed as you work on your project, so that gives you a lot of flexibility to segment your data. So there's one more key feature that I would like to share. So let's remove all the filters and look at the whole data set. And let's say, for example, we want to look at stigma and discrimination. And as I showed earlier, we have part of the data is like a panel in Japan. And yeah, no, maybe we can go and ask a question around stigma and discrimination in Japan. I say, is there and the better the question, the better the answer you will get. But you can start quite from the macro and then zoom in to the micro level. And even though this looks a bit like a ChatGPT type of interface, where essentially you have a chat, this is really different because here we are completely controlling the data that's being analyzed. The tool is able to tell you, I don't know, if we don't have data covering the particular question that you ask. And if you've experimented a bit with some of those tools, and we focus a lot around ChatGPT, but they all tend to behave the same way. It's really hard to know what the answers are based on, and they also tend to exaggerate any kind of conclusion, sort of stretch a bit the insight that they can generate, and it's a bit like a black box. You cannot really control or understand their behavior. And here we have a completely opposite approach, wherein we pre-process all of the data in the background so that we have like a really solid and healthy data set, which has been prepared in the background. And the AI doesn't do the analysis. The large language model is just used to be the messenger, to be the relay between yourself and the data when using the tool. But it doesn't conduct the analysis. It's just translating your request and provide the output if you want. And then on the side, every time we get like different quotes. And you can keep going and ask, is there anything? Stigma, for example. And then again, the tool will go and provide the answers accordingly. And our clients really find this like impactful, because based on the answer that you have here, you can always go back and change like your segmentation profile for the project. You can also use this as a way to quickly validate your discussion guide at the beginning of a project, and be able to self-correct much more rapidly. Like when you launch a project, like being able to validate the discussion guides can be quite tricky. So here, because it's so quick to upload, you can do your first few conversations, your first few IDIs, or even first few focus groups. And while you're in the back room, you can just upload the recording, have it transcribed straight away, and just start validating what happened during the session, and maybe even do this while you've got the moderator next to you, and sort of adapt how the next session should take place, and be much more dynamic as to how you approach the whole process, really. So I'm conscious of time, and we've got like just 6 more minutes. So Dave, you can, I don't know if you have any question at this point.
Thanks, Illitch. I had a couple of questions I wanted to throw out to you. As I've learned in developing software, there's really no endpoint. We're constantly adding new features to our software. So what is your team currently working on, and how soon will that be available, sort of near term and far term?
Yeah, the roadmap doesn't never ends, absolutely, and I think that's a good thing. Well, every time we do a demo with our clients, they always come up with some new ideas and things we've never thought of. So the whole development of the tool is very dynamic. We have one pre-Christmas release, which is going to include a few key points. One, we will have a direct discussion guide integration at the start of the process, wherein you'll be able to just create your project, upload your discussion guide, and from there you will have all the project objectives being extracted based on your discussion guide, which you will be able to validate. But the way it's being generated is actually really smart. And even the themes will be, the first set of themes will be automatically generated by the tool. which means that really in a matter of 2 minutes, just by creating your project and uploading your discussion guide, you will be ready to start digging and initiate your analysis with the suggested segment. So this is coming before Christmas, and I think this is going to be like really helping users with their journey. One thing that we've had is, and that goes with this idea of augmented intelligence and not artificial intelligence. Our clients are asking us more and more to have a tool that respect their voice and respect their even their research, to their approach to research. So what we can integrate into our tool when we onboard new clients is how they normally structure their report, the kind of perspective that they want to take on the data. So for example, we can get the tool to be very neutral and objective, or we can, on the contrary, and this works very well when we partner with consultancies, we can really focus on problems and issues and have some sort of a critical lens on the data. And on the back of this, also focus on recommendations and just have a completely different type of output into the tool. So more action-driven rather than trying to understand the landscape type of tone, and everything in between, because every agency, we don't believe in one size fit all type of approach. Like, we really want to be able to customize things for our users, and that's already coming. And the first 2 modes are coming pre-Christmas. And then we already have like 54 languages, but the list integrated into the tool, but the list keeps increasing. One thing which is really exciting is the option to bring in some purely quant data into the tool. And we're already piloting this. So we can do this now, but we need to prepare it for our clients. But the next release for this in Q1 25 will be for clients to be able to upload their quantitative report and for them to be integrated with the rest of the qual data and any kind of external data that they want to bring into their data mix. It's very early days, but we're also potentially looking at integrating some Rosetta report into the tool, which would be absolutely amazing. So that could be the topic of next webinar if we make good progress. But of course, we need to get this absolutely right before we present it. But at least we are considering it.
Okay. Another thing I'm constantly asked by clients about data security.
Yes.
What can you tell us about the data security behind this product?
Yeah, so that's a big one. Coming by January 15th, we are releasing like a very comprehensive white paper on security, which covers absolutely all the aspects of our setup, and not just the setup, but also kind of the philosophy behind as to how we decided to organize the tool in a particular way. One quick thing I can say is we work quite a lot in the healthcare sector, for example, but also with big law firms and consultancies, and with very strict security vetting kind of protocols, and we've managed to pass every single one of them every time. The platform is super secure.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Very interesting presentation, very interesting tool, a lot of power behind it. I can see it would, just even the ability to read the videos in, turn them into transcripts, translate them, and the analysis, the overall analysis, it's a very powerful tool. So thank you very much, Illitch.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. And thank you everyone for attending the webinar.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.